Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Alrighty, so today we're going to talk about the Wayne Kerr signal generator. This is actually what I use here on the workbench every day as far as realigning receive and what have you. So hopefully we'll get a couple of people in here. See, we got two. If you would, I'd appreciate it if you guys would say good morning, popping in here. Good morning, Carl, if you're watching. Good morning, Kevin. I haven't forgot about you, buddy. I have, if you'd see what I've been doing over here, you'd understand it's been a madhouse, but I have not forgot about you. But anyways, I've had a few questions in relationship to this, so that's what this is all about. Or as a little YouTube tutorial. So we can get a nice view of all the buttons and everything. And give myself enough room to work with. All right, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to start through some of the basic functions. These are actually set up to where you automatically are on FM, which is not generally used, at least in the CD world, which that's what we're actually going to show this on today. So some of these, depending on how you order them, you've got different options that are listed over here. We're not going to really talk a whole lot about the different functions because you actually have to have those installed, which can cost you as much as the entire unit itself. So what is kind of neat is you do have an external source. There is jacks on the back. If you decide you want to go ahead and have something internally injected along with the signal that it's going to produce. So that's kind of where we're at on that today. A couple of different things. You've got two buttons here, which is going to be your cursor and your rotary switch. Okay, what these are kind of good for are these functions right here, as far as up, down, left, right, and your knob here. So what we're actually going to do is I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to power it back up. That way we go back to the stock settings. I wished, and there again, I think it's another one of those add-ons for this, as far as to be able to go into the memory for some reason. I think that's what it amounts to, is you can actually lock in different frequencies based on your movements. However, that's another option that generally is not added to these whenever you purchase them. Okay, so the first thing we're going to see a button that's lit up here. It says carrier frequency. Okay, this is where we're actually going to start at. The other one that typically comes up is going to be your RF on, which is your RF frequency or transmit mode. So we're going to start here with our carrier frequency, and we're actually going to type in, and I've got a Galaxy 959 that we've actually got hooked up to the workbench. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 27.205. Normally we'd put the extra 0 in there, but it's not necessary. The reason why is because it's already going to fill that portion of it out for us. We're going to come over here where it says megahertz voltage. I'm going to push that button. Now you should hear a small little pop come through your receive on the radio. And we can actually test that. We'll get back to this here in just a second. Okay, now then, once we've got our frequency level set, let's go ahead and turn our cursor and our rotary switch back on. Okay, we're going to go over here to our carrier level, which is going to be our next setup. And instead of using the DBMs, I prefer the microvolts, just mainly because of all the SAMS manuals over the years that I've used. It's just an easier reference for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in 0.001. We're going to come over here where it says kilohertz and microvolts. And we want the microvolts, so we're going to push that. Well, we've got our setting here. Now we're going to go over here to the frequency tone. So we've got modulated frequency. We're already set on the pre-reference at 1000 kilohertz. However, if you want to change this, it makes it easy because you can actually use your rotary switch at this point, which you can on all these, depending on what you're wanting to try. So you can go to incredible different numbers. For example, if you wanted 2500. Wow, I don't really use that very often. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I usually use just this. I oftentimes forget, but you can actually you can scroll this up to crazy different numbers. If you go outside, it's going to give you, some type of fault. But we're going to go back. Once it zeroes out, you'll actually have to physically move over. So we're going to go back down to our standard 1000 kilohertz tone. Let's see here, modulation level. Set at 10 kilohertz right now. Okay, now then, remember this is in FM mode at the moment. Now we're getting ready to go over to the AEM. In most cases, books call for 30% modulation. Most of the time, I'll use the 50% for my starter reference, and then I'll change it down to the 30% for my final check. So we're going to put in 50, and we're going to come over here where it says percentage AEM. Push that. Now we're in our AM mode, 50% modulation, AM. Do you have any questions for me yet, Carl? I know you're going to be able to go back and watch this. All right. So once we've got our line set all the way across here, we got 27 megahertz, channel 20, so 27205. We're going to be injecting a 0.1 microvolt signal at 1000 kilohertz tone with 50% AM modulation. All right, now we still don't have a tone yet. The reason why is we have to go over here for modulation and auxiliary. We're going to push modulation on. You're going to be able to hear the tone coming through the radio itself. Now, if we want, we can go ahead and move that down to 30. Or if you want to do 100% modulation. But we're going to leave that at 50 just because it makes things easier. Now, while it's still in transmit mode, we can go back over here to the carrier level. As you can hear, it's going up and up as we're injecting a stronger signal. You have to move the caret. Once you hit 0 or 1, you have to move the caret typically to the right in order to drop any further. Once we go here, As long as you're behind your decimal, it's just going to keep going out. Same thing here, all the way up till we get a full 1 microvolt. Okay. So now we're at 0.05 microvolts. I know it shows 0.5. You actually have to reference based on your UV setting here. And again, at any time, okay, we can go back to carrier frequency. We're already at 27. Now we can actually take our little caret, which is our underscore here. For example, if we wanted to go channel by channel, which once we move all frequency, you can see the tone has stopped on the bench, but our number is still increasing. Give me just a second here, guys. All right, so hopefully that is a little bit of information here. My buddy Carl down in Texas, he actually has purchased one of these, so to try to make things a little easier, and instead of reading, the book, hopefully this actually helps in relationship to that. And apparently he's having a hard time finding it. All right, so has anybody else got any questions in relationship to this? Again, if you want to add other features, modulation on as far as a second, comes up option of not available. Reason why is because it's not been installed from the factory. Modulation on external, we can turn that on. Like I said, there's a jack in the back. In relationship to that, essentially if we wanted to create a noise loop or some type of signal noise, that can be injected here into it, using another type of equipment. For example, I don't have this hooked up right at the moment as far as going into that. But for example, now I'm using a WaveTech signal generator, so I can go back through if I want to create a particular, either a triangle wave, square wave, sine wave, what have you. If I actually want to inject a physical tone into, or a noise level into the carrier as well, this can be added into that, and then I can actually pre-adjust everything here. So it's another one of those where you've got multiple different options and functions. And it's actually a really neat piece of equipment. The WaveTech, new, this sells for about $800. There's actually others that will do just as well for about $100. If you're looking to just create a signal or some kind of a waveform to create noise or to do some other tests. But We're not actually going to get into this piece of equipment at the moment. Our main focus is up here. For this video. Of course, camera doesn't want to quite hold where it should. All right. So, does anybody got any questions? Like I said, this is one of them this is one of the pieces of equipment that I use here on the workbench on a regular basis. Let's go back down here to 205, which is where I get it set at as far as on the radio. But it's really quite interesting. So yeah. Let's go to channel 40. Set the radio here, get on the bench. Okay. Now the other thing too that we can see, we're going to move our carrot over from 27405. We're actually going to start there. We're going to actually find out just how much rejection our radio has on a pure signal. So at a half, which is what it should be at half a kilohertz, you should actually be able to go ahead and reject another frequency. No, early this is not. It's actually one that I have had for about 10 years. Okay, give me just a second here. He's actually a Ford guy. Don't let him fool you. Let's see here. All right. Well, I had to send my buddy because he's the one that's been interested. So I had to actually send him a physical link so that he can pull it up. So hopefully he'll be in here in just a second. I'm out of my mind. I'm not out of my mind. There's nothing you'd rather drive than a brand new Ford. Just think of the fuel mileage you'll save early pushing that truck everywhere. People will think that you're saving lives, as well as the environment. But good morning to you, three mate, anyways. Buddy, I wish you was up here. I'd go ahead and put you to work. We'd go ahead and finish pulling this other wall out here in the shop. I'm thinking about going ahead and picking up two pieces of pegboard and redoing this back wall back here. I've been cleaning the shop and running more electric, and I mean I've still got repairs that I need to get knocked out, but because of some of the repairs that I've got coming up, I needed more electric. So that's turned into a whole nother animal because of it. So but anyhow, Carl, did you make it in here yet, buddy? Well, I've added some more 110 volt lines, but I also did another drop for a 220. Actually, I actually considered dropping in two more 220 lines over here, but I only put the one in that I had to have right now. I did go ahead and cut about a 2.5-inch hole in my ceiling and installed a tube for coaxes. So I got my coax actually ran now the way I wanted to get it run 2 years ago. So, I've got the drop in for that. Best part about it is the fact that now I'll be able to go ahead and put a couple other coaxes in through that opening at a later date. Yeah, I tried really hard. I tried really hard on that early. Here a couple of years ago, whenever I put in the new bench, to go ahead and have a much bigger and a much needed larger table. Unfortunately, it just really wasn't in the cards. I was really hoping to do that. You need a deal on some RG400. Well, if it's the RG400 Ultra Flex, I may be able to hook you up on that. I don't know how much you're needing, but hopefully what I've got for you there will work. Let's see if Carl. Okay, let's see if he's popped in yet. Yeah, I actually ordered a 500-foot roll because I got such a good deal on it, and I think he's got 2 more rolls. But yeah, I've got to get some other antenna work done here, but I can't find anybody to go ahead and do what I need. Yes, I did, and that is 99% factual. There's one little piece that I haven't seen in relationship to that, but at least doing it myself. But otherwise, yes, you can actually cut and do coax that particular way. Speaking of which, Kevin, since I've got you on there, another question you had. Carl is still fighting with his computer, trying to get it all taken care of. And again, I don't know that this is going to work for your needs, which is that small resistor I have here, but it measures 10.5 inches. So what you might want to consider with what you're wanting to try to build, especially if you're just doodling, this may not be the best application for what you need, although it will work. As far as a dummy load, I've got a small how-to video on there on building a dummy load, and I think I went through as far as on calculations and what have you. Now mine, I built it on a small breadboard, and I actually put it in cooking oil in a jar. So that's just one of the things that I actually showed in relationship to that. I don't even want to know. Don't even want to know, Kevin. But Early, I know you're wanting to get into a little bit more as far as on the radio repairs as well. Again, we've got different setups. Let's go back here to chunk 20. Okay. Right now, I've got to turn down that one. So, that tone you're actually hearing is actually from this being injected into the back of the radio. Here's my coax going back into the back of the radio. So we're just injecting it right into the antenna port itself. So we're just using a 959 right now just for test purposes. This is actually a customer's radio that I just finished up. Speaking of which, we did the hi-fi receive on it. Now, what's kind of nice, and unfortunately, it does take good hearing to be able to tell the difference on that. So we're going to go over here to modulation frequency. Now we're 1,000 kilohertz tone. You're going to hear just like sound test. Okay, so just a little above 5,000 kilohertz. That's 55. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear that. Okay, 58 as far as my ears can hear, 5,800 kilohertz. Which this only started with a bandwidth of about 3,000. And then on your low tones, and usually about 300 is as far down as most radios will typically receive as far as on the frequency. There's 200. We'll have to turn it up just a little bit more. Okay. 140 is where I can still hear some of the tones. I didn't go real crazy on this one. But the galaxies usually don't go very far. Turn it down a little bit. Well, you probably could if you inject the signal in through the external port. Okay. All right. I know Carl's finally tuned in with us. So, Carl, do you have any questions, buddy? I know you haven't got to watch the first portion of this, so I don't know if I need to kind of go back through this again with you. So, we'll go back up here. And we'll actually just do a complete shutdown and reset. Because this is actually geared for primarily one individual. So we're back to our factory settings. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add our cursor and turn on our rotary switch. The reason why it shows up a caret. So we're going to go ahead and introduce our signal, or our frequency, I'm sorry, 27.205, excuse me. Let's see, backspace, 205 megahertz. Now this automatically, like I said, reverts back to an FM signal, so we'll take care of that when we get closer to set our carrier level. Like I said, I like to put it over to microvolts, so to come up with a UV setting, it's easier for me as far as to be able to fine tune. So we're going to go 0.001 microvolts. That way we can come up with a small signal. Our modulation frequency, which is always preset where we want it, which was 1,000. Modulation level, we're going to set this at, in this particular case, like I said, we're going to go 50% AM. This is the button we're using, percentage AM. dBUV. Now automatically will revert up and it will tell you that it is on AM. So we've got our AM signal, pass it to the tail end. Come over here to the modulation setting, turn on our modulation. Now we can actually go back while everything's in transmit mode for this. Which if we chose to, we can actually go over here where it says RF on. We turn that on and off during the entire process as well. So we're still going to carry it over here. We're going to come back to the carrier level. Now we can actually adjust it up and down nice and easy. Which we can if we choose to. We can actually go back. For example, 0.1 microvolts. So that gives us a full scale setting. Yeah, we'll take care of that here in just a second, Irby. 0.001 microvolts. So let's go ahead and turn that down to 600. So we're at 600 hertz. Maybe that won't be quite so bad on your ears.
Yeah, 8521, good morning to you. Up there around the Buckeye, big old morning time wave, deer slayers and plows.
Anyways, so like I said, once the carrots moved over to whatever the desired movement is.
Have a good day, good upcoming Memorial Day weekend. Take care, deer slayer back out of the way. Morning wave.
We want to go even finer.
Hey, good morning up there, 229 on the east coast of Virginia. Sounding good down here in the Sand Piles this morning. Tempo.
So we can roll it down to whatever we want. Press it up, press it down.
All right, well, you do the same. Enjoy your day and enjoy your upcoming Memorial weekend. No doubt. Take care. Dear Slayer, Lake Okeechobee on the mill.
Set that that's going to be 30%. Needs to be clean. We can even do all the way up to 100% modulation. Usually I never test anything above 70%. That's a rule of thumb. Usually 30 and 50 are the two that I use the most.
You better urge in there, 50 in Virginia. Good morning time to you, dear Slayer, Sam Powell.
And like I said, you can go back and type in whatever you choose. 27 or 05 megahertz. We want to go to channel 40, which would have to change the radio back. Again, we can take a little carrier over. We want to go channel to channel. So you actually have to know what frequency it is.
Hey, good morning up there, BB. Go ahead, 415, 440.
Channel 19, which is 27.5. The recall on that is actually, if you have the option, you can actually put in memory step. Unfortunately, this does not have memory step installed. Otherwise I could push this and it would go ahead and go into different settings. It's asking for a location. I can put in one just for example, but this doesn't have it in there. So I could push that. And where is the...
All right, BB, we'll catch you another time, no doubt. I was getting ready to shut it off because I did have to get some stuff done, but
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Like I said, it's already hot. So my motivation to do stuff outside is already gone, man. We'll be back to the fall. Take care, BB. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your upcoming Memorial Day weekend, dear Slayer Sampo. Oh, yeah. Firefighter Radio, big job.
Hopefully this helps at least one person out with using one of these. Like I said, we just kind of went through some of the different things. Like I said, we've got different functions over here. Status message. And you actually have to special order one of these to whatever you want. The unit itself starts at about $2,400, and then, like I said, it goes up from there. You can basically double the cost depending on what options you actually have added to this. Most of these are set up with bare bones.
I don't know. I do what I can, so, but I have to pace myself.
Usually has different sources or options that have been added. It really jacks the price of one of these up. But I actually own two of these. I got this one here, and I purchased another used one off of eBay that I found here about a year ago, just in case this one ever went down. I actually been accustomed to using this quite often, and I like this one a lot better than most anything I have here in the shop, from the old ancient dynasty to like Hewlett Packard. They make a synthesizer signal generator. There's several different variations on the market. Just because it says signal generator, you have to be very, very careful, because a lot of times when people are looking for something like that, wanting to pick something up, what you're actually seeing, and a lot of people aren't aware of, what you're actually seeing is a function generator. Yes, it does create a signal, but it's typically audio form instead of direct modulated form. So, be careful if you're looking to actually purchase a piece of test equipment, even for your own personal use. A lot of people want to spend, $500 to anywhere from $500 to $2,500 and do a used piece of equipment. So I hope this helps out at least one or two of you. Hopefully more in the long run. But we're going to go ahead and close on this video here. I do have some other stuff coming up. I don't know if I'll get to it today here on the workbench because I've got several other things that I need to finish up here in the shop that I'm redoing. So, like I said, hopefully that helps out. Like I said, a few of you. But everybody, I appreciate you popping in for the visit, and we will catch you next time right here.